Friends, every day we work hard to bring you a spine-chilling animated horror story. So, if you're enjoying the stories on our channel, Mr. Horror, then make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest videos. As soon as they opened the door, a foul stench hit them. Lying on the bed were two rotting corpses. Covering their noses, they stepped closer. Nisha noticed something that froze her in place. One of the bodies had the same locket that her grandma used to wear. The ground beneath Nisha's feet seemed to vanish. She realized these were the dead bodies of her grandparents. But if these were her real grandparents, then who were the people they had been living with all this time? Before Aman and Nisha could process this horrifying truth, strange children's voices echoed through the room. The two began searching the room frantically. Where were those voices coming from? While looking around, Aman accidentally bumped into an old bookshelf. To their shock, it opened like a hidden door. Behind it was a secret room. Neither of them had the courage to peek inside, but then, from the darkness of that room, they heard their names being called by the children. Terrified, the two siblings slowly stepped into the room. It was pitch black. Nothing was visible. Suddenly, a faint white light glowed from the far end. The children's voices grew louder. They were crying in pain. It felt like the voices were trying to communicate something. As they reached the far end of the room, their fear intensified. In the center lay a pile of human skulls. Beside them was a Havan Kund, ritual fire pit, and black magic materials. The walls were covered with disturbing drawings of a bizarre creature with long, sharp claws and teeth. It was obvious dark rituals had been performed in this room. As they stared at the drawings, the children's whispers turned into screams, as if they were all shouting the same thing. "Get out of here!" Panicked, Nisha and Aman rushed out of the room. The sun was beginning to set. Darkness was creeping in. Nisha and Aman now understood the people they were living with weren't their grandparents, and whatever they were extremely dangerous. The kids decided to escape before those imposters returned. They ran downstairs to the front door, but no matter what, the door wouldn't open. So they ran towards the back gate. On the way, a strange noise came from the kitchen. They peeked inside and were horrified. Crouched under the kitchen sink were those two people who looked like their grandparents, devouring something like animals. A red pot lay beside them. Their faces were covered in blood and their teeth were long and yellow like beasts. Their fingernails were black, long and sharp, exactly like the creature in the drawings. It was a bone-chilling sight. They were growling like wild animals. Suddenly, the grandma's head snapped towards them. Her eyes were completely white, just deep black holes. She let out a monstrous growl. Terrified, Aman and Nisha ran for their lives and exited through the back door. In the yard, the swing was rocking wildly, and the air carried a strong stench of blood. They didn't dare look back, but they knew those monsters were chasing them. The sounds of claws scraping the ground and low growls followed them, getting louder. The children didn't know where they were going. They only knew they had to run far, far away. Eventually, they reached a temple and ran inside without thinking. Crying, they hugged each other tightly. In one corner of the temple sat an old man. Seeing the terrified children, he came over and started asking questions. "What are you doing here alone in the middle of the jungle at night?" Before they could answer, growling noises echoed from outside. Without panic, the old man shut the temple's heavy doors and led the children into an inner room. He used his landline to make a call and came back to them. He told them they were safe now. Then he asked what had happened. Nisha couldn't speak. Aman, still sobbing, narrated everything. The old man listened carefully. Then, in a serious tone, he revealed, "Those were not your grandparents. Their names were Sumitra and Sushil. Years ago, Sumitra and Sushil lived in a nearby village. They desperately wanted children, but after many failed attempts, even doctors couldn't help. So they turned to black magic. They were last seen in this jungle performing a strange ritual. Then they disappeared. Years later, they returned, but in a terrifying form. Neither living nor dead, neither human nor beast. And now they could take the form of anyone. They loved children. They would first kill people, take their place, and live with their children. And once the children grew suspicious or tried to escape, they would kill them and keep their heads as trophies. Aman and Nisha now understood that the skulls they saw were the remains of all the children who had once lived with them. Tears streamed down their faces in fear. Then their eyes went to the window behind the old man. Outside stood those two black creatures, their blood-stained mouths snarling, their long claws scratched the glass. The old man calmed the children and said, "This temple is protected by mantras. They cannot enter." He told them he had called the police and help was on the way. By the time the police arrived, the growling had stopped. The beasts had fled into the jungle. The officers took Aman and Nisha back to their grandparents' home, and there they found all the dead bodies and skeletons. Aman and Nisha were rushed to the hospital, and their parents were informed. Doctors said they weren't physically harmed, but what they had experienced had left deep mental scars. That night, Aman and Nisha narrowly escaped those inhuman beasts. But who knows what shape those monsters have taken now, and whose family is next? If you liked this summer vacation horror story, then subscribe to our channel, Mr. Horror, and stay tuned for a new terrifying tale every day.